Recently, a hypothesis has given many people pause. Why have priceless treasures like Queen Victoria's brooch or Princess Diana's pearl necklace suddenly vanished, leaving only vague notes behind? Some unverified sources even suggest this could be the sign of a cross-border underground network where absolute trust in supreme authority becomes a fatal flaw. Comment 1 if you believe this is a battle to protect heritage. Comment 0 if you think the secret runs even deeper. Like and subscribe now to join us in decoding the architecture of power and the buried truths. Beneath the gilded domes where time seems to stand still due to the impenetrable security of the British palaces, lie treasures measured not just in carats, but in millennia of history. They are symbols of an immutable system of power. However, a shocking theory is emerging: can a fortress of faith be breached from within? When routine inventory checks, which were once merely procedural, turn into tense reconciliation sessions, an invisible truth begins to emerge. Everything began like a cold draft slipping through the corridors of Kensington Palace. Iconic objects, the jade brooch of Queen Victoria, the legendary pearl necklace once gifted by a Middle Eastern king to the late Princess Diana, now existed only as vague notes in archival records. When artifacts that were meant to appear at national events suddenly remained absent for years, the explanations of restoration or on loan began to reveal troubling gaps in logic. Amid the erosion of traditional values, Prince William took an unprecedented step. Bypassing official channels, he turned to Simon Harcourt, a specialist in identifying security vulnerabilities, a quiet operator who dealt exclusively with the cracks beneath the surface of high society. In a discreet room where daylight was smothered by heavy curtains, an investigation grounded in historical data analysis began. The notebook revealed more than missing items. It exposed a systemic collapse. Harcourt scrutinized decades of records, tracing the faintest clues on clasps and cuts. In a system of absolute control, is this a simple error or a dark internal shift? It begs the question, is heritage eternal, or can everything simply be replaced? Simon Harcourt's investigation no longer stopped at hypotheses on paper. He understood that in the world of national treasures, every gemstone carries its own distinct genetic code, its cut, its clarity, even the way it is mounted into its metal setting, and at a discreet auction in Paris accessible only to encrypted entities, a diamond necklace surfaced that through it was the ultimate silent witness, a custom clasp matching 1970s records perfectly. This shattered the palace's facade, yet the true horror wasn't the value but the systemic method behind it. Harcourt uncovered a sophisticated legal camouflage, where royal treasures were deliberately masked with vague labels like European provenance or 19th century relics. A cross-border network emerged, traces stretching from Geneva and Antwerp to Dubai, perfect buffer zones for the movement of high-value assets, and a strange commonality appeared as well. Despite passing through multiple auction houses, every trail led back to the same legal representative and a single luxury logistics firm, making it clear this was not an isolated theft, but a deliberate historical purge orchestrated by an entity with both access to the royal vaults and the authority to approve transfers without triggering any alarm systems. As the list of displaced fragments grew longer, Prince William faced a harsh reality. What was being lost was not jewelry, but entire chapters of a nation. Harcourt identified a fatal flaw in the security system: absolute trust in supreme authority. When a signature from the highest level appeared on documents authorizing the removal of artifacts for restoration or diplomatic exhibition, every layer of security automatically stood down, and the pursuit shifted from objects to people. In a dimly lit cafe in Antwerp, a veteran gemstone appraiser revealed a crucial detail. 2 years earlier, he had been asked to evaluate stones of regal beauty for an anonymous client. The intermediary was a figure with impeccably British mannerisms, yet who spoke French with effortless fluency during confidential calls, and the stones the expert identified were precisely the missing pieces from the palace collection. C. The trail was no longer made up of lifeless numbers. It had begun to take the shape of a specific individual. Within a power structure built on some of the strictest rules in the world, what is truly more frightening the enemy from outside, or the betrayal embedded within the very procedures designed to safeguard trust? When the symbols of the past are quietly sold off, does the true value of the crown lie in its diamonds, or in a loyalty that has begun to fracture? In the world of heritage artifacts, human memory may fade, but expert appraisers do not. In a quiet, secluded corner, a former gemstone specialist who had spent his entire life reading the character of crystals provided a piece of destiny. 3 of the missing stones from the list were accurately identified by him through photographs. The trail lay not only in the material but also in the behavioral portrait of the transporter. He spoke impeccable English, yet transacted in French a sophisticated operator. He wasn't a thief, he was a logistics architect. Suspicion soon fell on Charles Everley. As a former senior aide, Everley held the master keys. He knew every artifact's history and the palace's secret security protocols. Everley's departure into the shadows 3 years earlier and his re-emergence as a private heritage consultant created a strikingly alarming correlation. During a calculated meeting at an exclusive London club, where privacy was the ultimate principle, Harcourt witnessed the moment of a cracked facade. With just a subtle mention of the legendary sapphire ring, Everley's calm gaze shifted into a cold, calculating precision. It was the reflex of someone holding a secret the entire world was seeking. The investigative analysis entered a critical phase as Harcourt cross-referenced 3 independent streams of data movement schedules, auction logs, and vault access records. The data revealed that Everley was not acting alone. On trips to gray financial hubs like Geneva and Monaco, he was frequently accompanied by a figure enjoying diplomatic immunity, a privilege allowing luggage and shipments to pass through any border unchecked. As the layers of fog were peeled back, the system pointed to a single convergence, an entity with the authority to sign decrees, the influence to conceal vulnerabilities, and the proximity to render all suspicion inconceivable. That entity was Queen Camilla. This hypothesis raises a staggering question. Could a core member of the royal family be involved in the self-dismantling of their own dynasty's treasures? How do you assess Queen Camilla's role in this enigmatic architecture type 2? If you are impressed by her quiet power, or 5, if you believe in the eternal preservation of the monarchy. Like and subscribe now to not miss the moment we unravel the final links in this dramatic journey of power. With unrestricted access and the ability to legitimize jewelry shipments for diplomatic purposes, Camilla possessed a unique position to operate a system of asset transfers that no one dared question. For Prince William, this was no longer a simple security investigation. This was a crisis of integrity of the crown. When a security system is built on absolute trust, isn't the greatest risk that this trust might be used as a tool for personal gain? If this evidence is true, is this a single act of self-interest or a sign of a deep rift in the power structure we have come to trust? Will you choose to protect tradition or expose the truth, even if that truth might bring down an entire monument? Every systemic investigation reaches a critical point where the data is no longer just lifeless numbers, but becomes a living entity. The indictment of history. Over the course of 2 weeks, Harcourt conducted a multi-tiered verification process. Witnesses at European auction houses posing as appraisal experts revealed a crucial detail. A woman with an air of utmost nobility was directly involved in the process. Revaluation, royal relics. The act of removing gloves to open the velvet box containing the Victorian jade brooch was not merely a noble gesture. It was the moment the truth was revealed under the lights of the private appraisal rooms. When the leather-bound file was placed on Prince William's desk, the space seemed compressed by the weight of systemic betrayal. The chosen location was the Blue Room at Buckingham Palace, a space symbolic of silence and eternal secrets. Here, Queen Camilla's composure confronted the cold resolve of the future monarch. As the file was pushed across the desk, a scenario unfolded of heritage erosion. It has been exposed. Camilla didn't deny the meetings, cloaking them in diplomatic protocols and secure restoration. But when pressed for records, silence followed. This was no longer a family dispute. It was a war between sacred tradition and cold pragmatism. Though she offered no confession, the balance of power had shifted forever. Camilla exited with a stoic face, yet her silence confirmed an irreparable rift. Immediately, a shadow shift swept through the palace. Sudden absences and nervous aids signaled the start of power isolation. The system was rapidly closing ranks to shield its core from the inevitable media storm. Prince William faces a choice that could be life or death for the monarchy. Revealing the truth could shatter an image built over centuries, but remaining silent would mean compromising on historical values. In the world of royalty, sometimes the unspoken words possess the most devastating power. Jewelry can be recovered or replaced with perfect replicas, but ethical standards. Once a system has been compromised, it can never be restored to its original state. When national treasures are no longer kept in vaults, but become pawns in clandestine deals, are we witnessing the end of an era of trust? In your opinion, does the integrity of a monarchy lie in the glittering diamonds on its crown, or in the transparency of those who wear it? Is silence the best way to protect the monarchy, or will that very silence be a poison that gnaws away at the future? In the architecture of power, hesitation is sometimes more dangerous than a direct attack. CE. Prince William faces a difficult dilemma regarding system integrity. Should the dynasty protect its false image of unity or undergo a painful surgical procedure to salvage its core values? When trusted advisors are summoned in secret, a systemic analysis reveals that silence is no longer a shield, but complicity. The international media, with the keen instincts of the digital age, have begun to notice the implications. White space in Queen Camilla's schedule. The unexplained diplomatic flights and absences from traditional events created an uncontrollable wave of public opinion. Any hope of a mistake vanished when the final report from Zurich arrived. The emerald bracelet, a symbol of continuity dating back to the Empress Dowager's time, had been discovered in a private vault. This was no longer a hypothesis. This was an illegal asset supply chain. It was finalized. The coincidence of time, place, and approval signatures led William to an irreversible decision. He understood that to protect the crown of the future, he had to confront the harsh reality of the present. That morning, London was shrouded in a gray haze, signaling a constitutional change. William did not choose personal confrontation. He chose to restructuring of authority. The statement was drafted without directly making criminal accusations, which could have brought down the regime, but focused on redefining the responsibility for heritage preservation. By stripping people of their titles and public roles in the name of protecting national assets, William orchestrated a silent revolution. X. This was an unprecedented precedent, a direct successor eliminating flawed links in the power structure, even before officially ascending the throne. In the palace press room, the silence was so heavy that one could hear the clicking of waiting cameras. When William stepped onto the podium, he was not just a son, but a heritage protector. We are administering justice to prevent a major crisis of trust. The words spoken will not only change Camilla's position, but also alter the way the British monarchy operates in the 21st century. Peaceful courtesy has vanished, giving way to an era of strict scrutiny and unbridgeable boundaries. In the battle between kinship and national duty, what is the price of justice? Is removing a high-ranking figure to protect the crown jewels a courageous act to save the regime, or the beginning of a deeper rift we cannot foresee? If you were faced with that choice, would you protect your family's secrets or the heritage of a nation? Prince William's voice, echoing in the press conference room, was not just the voice of an heir, but of the echo of a system defending itself. He wasn't talking about lost gemstones. He was talking about contract of trust between the monarchy and the public. The decree was brief, but carried the weight of 1,000 years of history. Camilla has officially been stripped of her title as queen. B. Her public role ended, and her ceremonial duties were reassigned. This was not merely a personal punishment, but a transformation. Re-establish order. William affirmed a supreme principle. In a monarchy, no individual is allowed to stand above the integrity of the national heritage. In less than 5 minutes, the world witnessed a historical rift. While social media exploded like a digital earthquake with theories and astonishment inside the palace, the atmosphere was eerily silent. The corridors of Buckingham and Kensington are now shrouded in apprehension. Portraits are changed, seating charts are redrawn, a process that has been repeated. Erase system memory. It unfolded silently but fiercely. Camilla's discreet disappearance into the shadows of history is proof that when trust is broken, even the most powerful entities can vanish into the mists of oblivion. The incident plunged the British monarchy into an unprecedented territory. International analysts consider this the most decisive action of a future king, a powerful message to all generations. Power always comes with absolute responsibility. The palace security system is not only tightened by physical barriers, but also by a new transparent operating system. Every access log to the archives is digitized, and every movement of treasures must go through multiple layers of approval. The scandal, though a painful scar, has become a catalyst for the royal family to upgrade itself in the face of internal risks. D. Simon Harcourt returned to the shadows of the security consulting world, leaving behind a dossier whose full truth will likely never be revealed to the public, because some truths possess too destructive power to be made public. For William, this crisis was a harsh lesson about the price of leadership. Precious gems are not ornaments. They are the chapters of a nation. Protecting them is not about protecting them physically, but about protecting them. Sacred continuation of a nation. The monarchy has weathered the storm, but it is no longer what it once was. It has become more resilient, more disciplined, and more acutely aware of the true meaning of guarding history. As the curtain has closed and titles have been revoked, we are forced to ask ourselves, can an institution survive on the glitter of diamonds or on the ironclad boundaries of morality? In the battle between kinship and duty, was William's decision a necessary act of ruthlessness to save the future, or a crack that can never be mended in the heart of the dynasty? The answer perhaps lies not in what we see, but in what the royal family will choose to protect for centuries to come. The curtain has closed. The title is gone, but the real mysteries remain hidden in the shadows of the palace corridors. Was William's decision a salvation for the dynasty, or merely the opening shot in an irreparable rift? Which scenario do you believe, a purge for justice or a brutal power struggle? Leave your hypothesis below. I will respond directly to the most insightful comments. If you believe this is just the tip of the iceberg, click button link. Like this video. Don't let yourself be left out of the system's secrets. Click register, turn on notification bell right now. Here we don't just